Hello and welcome to the Nürburgring GP version. This is for the endurance event by Scottish Legends. It was originally planned for a week ago, but then the ACC servers were down at the time off, so instead it was postponed for a week, which was a bit unfortunate because I had been practicing it all the week before, and I didn't feel like continuing that for another week. So there was quite some downtime between most of my practice sessions, and then this race. But anyway, I knew that there would be a 2-hour free practice session beforehand, so plenty of time to get more practice in myself. And yeah, the event then has happened yesterday on Monday. So here is my video about it. I did jump into the free practice session, but I only could join the second hour, which I was okay with. I figured that would be enough time to get back up to speed. I set out, my first lap was a 159 point something. My second solid lap was a 158.8. Going into this event, my personal best was a 157.2. But I took the free practice as an opportunity to really go hard on the fuel load. The reason being that I'm not used to running high fuel loads, but it's a 90-minute endurance event with one refueling pit stop, so I would need to fuel for at least 45 minutes each time, which is much more than I'm used to. Anyway, I had a couple crappy laps, of course, as well, but I was just chasing personal bests, and I wasn't too happy with what I was achieving. And the timing screen is also very slow to update, but I was kind of getting more to the 158s gradually, consistently, so not too bad either, considering the fuel load. And then finally, with less than 10 minutes to go, I hit the 157.9, and I had been chasing the 157s for this session with the high fuel loads, so I was quite happy with that. Not ecstatic, but it was fine. Yeah, it was so high in the 157 that I felt like I barely achieved my my goal, but yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, in the end, we went to qualifying. I took a 5-minute break, and then I set out to do my quali lap. I think at the start of this clip, I had to record it from the replay because I forgot to record this session at first. So if you go back to the very start, I think you'll see that I had done a 156.8 for my first solid quali lap, which I was super happy about. I had already put in a banker lap in the 157s before that, but so the 156.8 was great because it's my new personal best immediately. And then I set out to do this lap here. So in quali, I had been trying to find a suitable gap, and I thought I had finally found one, but then after my 156.8, I had closed in a lot on the car in front, and they seemed to be just a tad bit slower. I still had a low fuel load, so ideal circumstances to do another lap. As you can see, there's 2 liters now left in my tank here, so just about enough to complete this lap and then go back to the pits. But then I was worried I would catch up to the car in front. And worse, the gap I had been looking for was one where I didn't have pressure from behind, because if a car is clearly faster than you, you're supposed to let them through. And the fastest guy in Scottish Legends, Bella, was now right behind me. But yeah, I figured I could just about wing it. I did feel a bit of pressure from it, but it wasn't stopping me from getting a pretty good delta here. Unfortunately, it's not showing in the replay, but I just about closed the gap in front. I'm not overtaken from behind, and I do a 156.4, so another personal best for this track. I was super happy about it, and then I just slowed down to teleport to the pits. I saw Bella also going to the right, so I was planning to slow down on the straight, but in the end I just go a bit further and onto the grass. Anyway, all of this put me P13. Going into the race, I was a bit worried that now I was punching above my weight, since my new personal best was so far up from the previous one that I didn't feel I could put that pace consistently, and I figured that the people around me here would be consistently faster than me in race pace. But yeah, I figured I would try my best and see what happens. Not just let people pass just because, especially not early on, maybe strategically later. But yeah. Going into turn 1, I'm already on the outside of the track, and I figured I would lean into that and really stick far to the outside so that I could stay clear of any crashes that might happen. In front of us, we see, I believe it's Longarella. No, Maggiolo in the red, I believe it's Ford. Got bumped in a 3 wide situation, and I managed to overtake a few people, and then I'm alongside Maggiolo going into turn 3. On turn 4 they push me wide. They should have left space on the exit. There's a bit of door banging with me claiming my place, and maybe here I'm just barely alongside, but I think I am. So I think I was clear there, but yeah, I made sure to claim my space because I felt I earned it, and pushing me wide had put me behind just a little bit. And I do manage to get the overtake. So looking back at the replay, I'm already on the outside. I figured that a lot of the cars in front would be going for the apex, so I'm hoping to stick it out around the outside and maybe get an overtake in. But I run a little bit wide, though I don't gain or lose any spots, so that's fine. The car getting bumped around in the middle of a 3 wide in front, the white Mustang, is in fact the rest Mustang from the race. It's just in the replay it's showing differently. So I am alongside going into turn 3, and then turn 4 they drive me wide, or bump me wide. Next up it's a little less clear, than I'm well enough alongside, but we both leave each other space and they just drive off on their own accord, and I'm passed. I'm now P6, I believe, in the race. The timing sheet is again slow to update, but everyone around me seems to indicate that it's P6. So that was in a way great, but if I was punching above my weight at the start of the race, then I was doing all the more so right now. And immediately behind Kuch is putting pressure, while I'm getting detached from in front. I'm getting gapped right away by Brown, Zimmerman, Weber, and I think, yeah, I'm not sure anymore who's in front of them, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to catch up with those people. They're way too fast for me. So yeah, Kuch is all over the back of me, coming slightly alongside, heading to the chicane. This is a lot of pressure, and the chicane is not an easy corner to take. I go too far, miss my breakpoint slightly, and I managed to stay on the inside going into this last corner. It was kind of a rejoin because I did leave the track, but not like I was spinning or anything, but I was slower coming out of the chicane, so I figured I had to leave space for people to go around. I shouldn't just start blocking. So we can see that in the replay as well. Coming out of this fast right-hander, they're already very, very close behind. Really all over the back of me basically, and they come alongside on the final straight towards the chicane. They do back out of it, which is smart because I don't think it's a good overtaking spot, but it puts enough pressure that I miss my braking point and I have to try and rejoin safely, which I manage. And now I have 2 cars that just overtook me and 2 close behind. So heading to turn 1, I'm still thinking about maybe getting something done there, but I'm too far behind. Unfortunately, I again miss my braking point. I'm really fumbling at this time. I hit Maggiolo, definitely didn't intend to do that, but it happens. And then I was looking on my inside while Fox came on along on the outside and then cut across, which was the right, and I bump and spin them, and it's fully on me. So looking back at it in the replay for this first instance, I get a 5-second time penalty, which, yeah, that's fair. I think in context of the lap 1 incident where this car drove me wide, I think it's maybe a little harsh, but whatever. But then the spin here is another 5-second time penalty, and it's fully deserved. Yeah. I think there's mitigating circumstances explaining why it happened, but still it's just a full-on mistake on my end. So here I thought I knew I spun a BMW, but I wasn't sure which one, and I thought maybe it was this one, so I let him regain the position. But this turned out to be Kamaya's and not Marty Fox, who I actually spun. because Fox is quite a ways back because of the incident. So now I'm trailing Camaras and Deck. Actually the car I let past was maybe Deck. Yeah. We'll find out in a moment. Yeah, Deck. So they drove wide at the hairpin, so I repassed them anyway. So yeah, I gave the position, but no harm done, even though it wasn't the correct person to give it to. I mean, you get it back anyway, so it's fine. So now looking to kind of settle into the race because I've had a lot of stuff going wrong and I'm feeling like, okay, I really need to lock in. Yeah, it's not been a great start and I'm hoping I can start doing better and get some nice racing done. But right, so this puts me back P13. A whole slew of people overtook me after all the contacts there. So feeling a bit bad and I'm thinking, okay, I need to start locking in because this is not good. At least I'm back to the spot I started to race in, so could be worse. But now I'm feeling again pressure from behind from Ruga, and Peters is also quite relatively close, as well as Deck. Lap time is not telling us much here since yeah, minor 207 is because of the crashes. Ruga 2 minutes. I don't know if they had any holdups, but I can definitely manage a 2 minute 0, so I'm hoping I can maintain this position. PTS with a 158.2 with the heavy fuel load I have right now, I'm not sure I can manage that just yet, but yeah, we'll see. The timing sheet is very slow to update again. I've been working after this event in the background to hopefully fix it for future videos. It's really difficult because I don't see these overlays myself when I'm racing, since I'm racing in VR and they don't display there. So it's time consuming to get any fixes done, but yeah, hoping to get there for future videos. Anyway, I was chasing people. Kamahes was faster in free practice and quali, but here they ended up spinning, so I get to overtake in the hairpin. And I believe they dropped quite a ways back in the field. And it might not show from the start of this race, but I think generally my strength is that I'm quite a consistent driver who doesn't tend to have too many incidents. The race starter here was very bad and not at all, I think, typical for me, but yeah, it is what it is. It did happen and I did do it. But I'm hoping to lock in now and just leave that behind me and start driving solid laps and then find a good spot in the race. The good thing here is that at least there's people somewhat close to me, so I'm hoping I can do overtakes in front or behind. But then coming out of the chicane, I overpush, I spin, 3 people pass me by, Ruga, Fox and Deck. I still have trouble getting the car back under control on the grass, but I do get there in the end. And so now suddenly I find myself, I think it will start showing us 10 seconds behind Deck. But then I believe later, yeah, now it says 10 seconds, but I think it's more like 6 or 7. And then Aslan is also quite a ways behind. So I'm a bit in no man's land now. I do believe I'm faster than Aslan, not than Kamajas, but maybe more consistent than Kamajas. And I think I should be able to get back to Ruga and Deck. Fox, the guy I spun out earlier, had shown consistently higher pace than me in practice and quali. I didn't expect to get back to them, but yeah, to be seen. Of course I wouldn't mind it and I'm gonna try. I'm just again thinking like, come on dude, lock in. Start driving better than this, you can do it, and I do think I finally start managing it. But yeah. Notable about this event, so the in-game time start of the race was 6 o'clock in the evening, and the time was set to 4 times speed. So it's gonna become night relatively fast, and then the temperatures will drop a lot, which was a challenge for your setup, because your setup changes depending on the temperature, or it should. I'm just about there. I have 2 different setups for lower and higher temperatures. But the actual car setup you can't change during the race or the pit stop. You can only play with the tire pressures mostly. Yeah, I just put my hot temperature setup because I felt I was doing better with it even in quali and practice when the temperatures were cooler, but we'll see that getting into play later on. After completing the lap, I see that the people in front did the two right before me did 159s, same as me, 159.3. So I gained a few tenths in this lap, and Fox is driving away. Next time around, 159.1 for Deck, minute 0 for Ruga, and a 159.1 for me. So catching up to Ruga, not so much to Deck that time around. The following lap, and we see Kamai has did a 157 behind, so he's gaining time very quickly on me. Following lap, we see Deck going into the pits, which I thought was a shame because, that was Ruga. I think Deck is still in front of me. So yeah, that was the one person I was looking to overtake relatively soon, so again there's a bigger gap in front of me. I did do a 158.2, so I believe I caught up a bit to Deck with that, but then Kamai's behind was again in the 157, so he's gonna start putting pressure on me too if he keeps it up. All this time I'm just feeling kind of lonely on track, there's not much happening for me. Next time around I'm 2 tenths slower than Deck, so no time gained there. Kamahas did a 2 minute 0, so they had a moment somewhere and lost time. So yeah, still finding myself alone. The sun is going down. I found it super annoying. It's further on in the track, but also here I suppose where it's shining in your eyes, and it was really hard to see my rev lights, for example. So it was giving me some trouble, but nothing too bad, since I was putting down consistent lap times now at least. But yeah, didn't make things easier either. Kamahas starts to catch back up after having their bad lap. But for now, I'm still finding myself alone. I do have hopes of catching up to Deck. You can now see him driving in the distance, so in the hairpin just about now, the middle of it. So I noticed on track and my timing sheets in game in VR were also better, so I knew I was catching up to them overall, even though not every lap was better than theirs. Same time, Kamahas was catching up from behind as well, so at this point I had a lot of time to think about things, and I was strategizing a bit and thinking that Kamahas is clearly faster than me, so if he catches up first, I figured I wouldn't put up too much of a fight to not lose too much time because I wanted to catch up to Deck. But then just now, a couple corners back, we saw Deck on the side, parked up on the grass basically. So that was another easy pass that I was hoping would be more of a fight. But so who got into the pits, Deck spun out, and overtake done for me basically. Kamaya seems to have another issue behind, so they've fallen back and were overtaken by O'Connor. I think so far in the race I was faster than O'Connor, so I'm not expecting too much there. But yeah, I'm still driving 158s by my lonesome around here, hoping that something would happen that would give me a fight. But not much coming my way just yet. I was finding time, so going up on my delta in the first couple of corners, but then I was consistently losing it again towards the end of sector 1. You can see it a bit in effect here. Yeah, previous corner, mid corner, I was up on the delta again, but it doesn't really count mid corner because if you're then slower on exit, you just lose it again anyway. So there's a bit of ebb and flow there. Heading towards the hairpin though. Wait, no, it's not Deck, is it? Ah, okay, my mistake. Previous lap it was O'Connor who was actually in front of Deck who spun out. This lap around, it's Deck who spins out. So actually I was still hoping to catch Deck and get a fight with them. Before that I was hoping for both O'Connor and Deck fight, but they both spin out one lap after the other. Get both overtakes done this way. I was pretty sad about it because I was really hoping for some action. But yeah, unfortunately, the only action was seeing them parked up by the side and driving past. Yeah. Not by far not the dream start to this event, with first me messing up, then these guys spinning out and me having the easiest overtake, so... Yeah, I figured it is what it is, just keep my head down, keep pushing, well, I was looking at can I catch up in front, but the people in front were doing 156s and were 20 seconds up the road, so really didn't look like an option. And the people that I figured I could put overtakes on just spun out, and that was that, so not much happening there. At least they're still relatively close behind, so behind me Kamahas, O'Connor and Deck were now fighting. Kamahas ends up overtaking both of them and was just about a second behind, but then you may have caught it just about in the rear view mirror that Kamahas went into the pits. So again, no action there. Sad days. The worst thing about it was that Kamahas was the only one that was actually gaining time on me. I was running away from Deck and O'Connor. So yeah, I'll skip another lap here. I did a 158.2, that's my new personal best in this race. I was quite happy about that, but then behind 158.6 for Deck, 158.8 for O'Connor, so just gaining more ground on them, gapping them harder. Not making any impression in the front, still just a little bored. Now half an hour into the race and yeah, absolutely not the dream. Next best thing I can then do is chase lap time and try to do new personal best, so I did manage that last time around. I'm just about 1/10 off of my that personal best coming here, but chasing it, I go wide, I get a bit of light damage at the front, I spin out, and it's the situation in reverse. Hoping for fights with Deck and O'Connor, but now I'm the one that spun out and they just drive by and still no fight to be had. At least I'm not too far behind, since I regained track position somewhat quick-ish, and they were far enough behind that they first had to drive another couple of corners maybe to pass me by. So especially O'Connor is right in my view. I figure I am typically faster than them, so if my damage isn't too high, I can start catching up. But also, the sun has gone down at this point. We're coming up on the 1 hour mark, and I'm starting to think about my pit stop. Because I have noticed that by now my tire pressures are dropping. You can see the left front is at 26.3. Earlier in the race it was up in 26.8 or 9, I believe. And that's around where you want to have it. High 26. I believe ideal is 26.8 or 9. But anything between, let's say, 26.6 and 27.0 is a good window to have them. We see some of the other pressures here are still quite high. But yeah, so I was trying to chase down O'Connor while thinking about these things, and at the same time thinking about the amount of fuel I wanted to add. So I started the race with 77, and beforehand in my setup I had prepped it so that I would use the same tire pressures as I did for my first stint. To be honest, I didn't really consider it that much, but I think it's a good thing to have them at the same settings so that you can just look at what the values are before you go to pit and then adjust accordingly. And then for fuel, a bit similar. I started out with 77. I had prepped my pit to also add another 77 liters. But now at about the 1 hour mark, I figured that's too much. So I'm starting to calculate that, okay, I used this much already in half an hour. I need another full hour of racing. So I'll just double the amount I used and subtract what I still have left. And that's the amount I need to add in my pit stop. And then just a bit extra so I can, make it to the end of the race. When the timer runs out, if you're just past the start-finish line, you still need to do a full lap. Or even worse, it's actually the leader that starts the final lap. So if you're just ahead of the leader, let's say, then you start your lap, they start the final lap, and if you manage to cross the start-finish line first before them, they don't lap you after that. Then they finish the race and you still have almost a full lap to go. So a lot of things to consider while I was trying to make an impression on O'Connor. I was also adjusting all these pit settings after calculating them. So yeah, just a lot going on. I was gaining on O'Connor a bit. I didn't now catch what their last lap time was, but mine was a 1:59.9, so definitely not good. But this because I was starting to notice I was sliding, like here for example, starting to slide. I also noticed sometimes them sliding a bit on track and being a bit slow in corners, so I figured the same was happening to them, that their tire pressures were dropping. So yeah, my original plan was to take my pit stop as late as possible, so I would have quite a bit of time running on lower fuel load. But I figured now with the dropping tire pressures, that wasn't a good plan anymore, and it was better to get my tire pressures in a correct window after the pit stop and then do an undercut that way on O'Connor possibly. So here I was maybe 4 or so laps further in the race. We're coming up on the 40 minutes completed, just about, with about 50 minutes to go. I have gained ground on O'Connor, but not all that much. And in front actually there's also Longahella, so gained ground on them a bit as well. And then further in front is Deck, who has seemed to have gapped me a bit, which was surprising. But yeah, I was losing a lot of lap time, so maybe they just had been driving around with tire pressures that were a bit too high, and now the temperatures were getting lower, they were coming into the optimum window. That would explain it, but I'm not entirely sure, I don't have data on this. But my lap times were getting worse and worse. My last time round was at 2 minutes 0.4. So while I did gain a bit of ground on O'Connor, I wasn't anywhere close to overtaking. Also because I have spent a lot of time in these last few laps just making adjustments to my pit settings. So in the end, I think I added about 0.5 to all my tire pressures. Maybe a bit more for some of them, but I figured that would be a pretty good setting. I don't have a lot of experience. And then I lowered the amount of fuel to add by maybe 30-ish or so. And I went into the pits hoping to undercut O'Connor, but then they went into the pits right in front of me. And here they were going super slow, and I was a bit confused because I thought actually the pit limit only starts much later. And then indeed I pulled a Vettel, I sped up again, overtook them in the pit entry, which is still part of the racetrack, I believe, and it's allowed. And I was super close to not hitting the pit limiter in time, but I just about managed it, so that was really, really good. And I was actually quite excited about this maneuver. I was so happy to do overtaking the pit entry, so yeah, it was very cool. I didn't know if it would stick because in my pit settings I had chosen to repair the damage because, yeah, I wasn't sure if it was necessary, but I didn't want to chance it. But that did add about 10 or so seconds, or maybe 11 to my pit time. So if O'Connor wasn't doing the same, they would just have a 30-second pit stop and they would be ahead of me coming out of the pits again. But yeah, as we see, my mechanics are hard at work. I'm very close to completing my pit stop now, and there's nothing happening in my left view mirror. So I was hopeful that I would get away before O'Connor. Now repairing the damage. And we're good to go. And for a moment I was like, oh no, it didn't work. They just came out in front of me, but actually not the case. It was someone else who already did their pit stop too. I'm not sure who. Oh, it's Haupt, okay. I think they had already lapped me, so they're P10 and I'm P14 here. Yeah, my fight is not with them at all. They've been notably faster throughout the race to already lap me. Same with Fox and Peters. Of course, lapping me happened in part because of the pit stop, I think. I don't think they had lapped me on track. Pretty sure they didn't. But yeah, still I'm P15 now. Haupt will be driving away in front of me. My plan is to stick with them as long as I can, at least, just as a kind of pulling me forward, having someone to look at how fast they're going. and I'm checking behind me. But basically, Deck and Longahella haven't pitted yet, and they're about half a minute behind me. It's actually pretty bad because half a minute behind means that they are gonna lap me if they gain another half a minute. So in fact, I'm a full lap behind minus 30 seconds. So about yeah, let's just round it to a minute and a half. So even if they do pit anytime soon, I won't be gaining enough on them to retake positions there. I'm not sure at this point during the race how far in front or behind P13 and 14 I am, but yeah, it's just shaping up to be a pretty boring second stint because there's no one really close around me for competitor-wise. There's just Haupt, P10, who's driving away in front, and that's about it. So I'm starting to think, what can I do? And the only thing I can really come up with is, try to do better lap times. But then I figure, you know what? I'm gonna start a discotheque. So I'm gonna start flashing my lights into the hairpin, because why not? And here we are. I know it's really stupid, and well, it doesn't do anything or so as long as nobody sees it. So there we go again. Zimmerman is now in front. Haupt must have pitted. So I'm just flashing my lights again. Just making sure that nobody sees me doing it, because I don't want them to think that that I'm flashing my lights at them. But anyway, for the same reason, Haupt is about to come back after, I guess, a pit stop. They are P4 and they are quite a bit faster on track than me. So I think they pitted, fell behind me because of it, and now they're looking to re-overtake. And since they are getting closer behind, I'm no longer flashing my lights. My discotheque days are over, unfortunately. So back to focusing on lap times. For the personal best lap, it's the stint that counts. So when you do a pit stop, basically, the personal best lap, as your car registers, gets reset. So that's why it looks like I'm 2/10 up on my personal best, or well, now about even, and even losing more time. But that's because my personal best this stint is a 159.1 or so, or 159.2. So I'm not anywhere close at the moment to competing with my own personal best of a 158.2, which also makes sense because my fuel load is again much heavier. So yeah. Also coming into this stint, so I had been playing around with my tire PSI, and apparently I overshot. At least the rear tires are actually really good. It's 27.1 and 27.0 PSI, or now both 27.1. But then the front tires went too high. The front left went to 27.6 here. And I remember from the race that the front right was actually showing a lot of 27.7 at points. So that's too high. Then again, there's still more than half an hour to go in this race. So there's time for them to come back down. And since the night will keep cooling them down. I'm now being approached by Haupt, so they're looking to lap me again. Again meaning redo their lapping, not lap me a second time, as in putting 2 laps on me. So I see them coming. I figure I don't mind, being a bit cautious and stepping aside, but unlike the Red Bull Ring, I don't want to lose too much time over it. So I tried to find a suitable moment. Still end up losing about 1 second. And based on my experience this race, I really feel like I want to assign buttons to my blinkers, so that I can indicate to people that I'll be moving to the right and just pass me. Because it's been a few times that I make them move to the right, and they seem to think that they should slipstream me, and then I'm for some reason trying to close the slipstream, or I don't know. But anyway, I skipped ahead here a bit, and I did a personal best actually of a 57.7, 157.7. So that was really good. I was very happy about this during the race because I got my tires a bit more under control. At least the front right was doing better now. My fuel load was still pretty high, so doing that 157.7 was great. I guess I was a bit reinvigorated by having people around me, and not that I did the same crash as before, by the way. Some more damage on my front. But yeah, so people around me made me want to do a bit better, and I didn't want to block their overtake at all. I just wanted to see how long I could stick it out. Here into the hairpin heavy braking zone, and it turns out that the damage I got now has actually damaged my front lights in such a way that when I am in a hard braking zone, they start flickering. So the disco days are back, baby, and it's unfortunate for the people that lap me, because I'll be now showering them in stroboscopic light effects, since I am still planning to try and stick behind people. So here's a few clips. Especially coming into the chicane, it can be really tricky when this effect happens, because visibility there is already so late. So then if my lights go dark at the wrong time, then I just really don't see the corner at all until I'm right on it almost. My lap times haven't suffered too much. I'm again doing 158s now. Here's some more flickering. I hope that the cars behind me see the flickering before they overtake, but I'm guessing all these people are have enough experience to know what is happening and that I'm not flashing them. It's also kind of the opposite of flashing, because my lights go off. It's not that I'm flashing brighter lights and they're changing with less bright lights. But yeah, so Kug coming up behind, I move over to the left, and it takes them a moment to make the overtake. Again, I lose about a second, and I don't think it needs to be that much, and it's the reason why I want the blinkers. But yeah, now gonna try and stick again close behind them, so coming up on the hairpin, here comes the flickering. And brake. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I found it a bit funny, all of this during the race. Here's a couple more clips. Maybe it was just because I'd been so bored that I found it so funny, but something was happening, so it was nice in a way. Next up for the lapping are Maggiolo, the guy that drove me off in the first lap in the fourth corner. He's already just 1 second behind. Not looking to hold them up, so I think here coming up on the Schumacher this is a good spot. They're close enough that I barely have to slow down. Again, still cost me a second. Unlike the Red Bull Ring though, I'm basically competing with no one because of all the mayhem early on in the race, which really sucked, but then under blue flags I can just step aside and not worry about losing too much lap time, so... Next up, the car I spun, Marty Fox, and then VM will be looking to lap me. I know that Marty Fox is faster than me, but not by all that much. So I figure if I were to really push on the racing line, which I'm perfectly entitled to do under blue flags, I guess I could keep them behind for quite a while. But at this point I had clued into the fact that in fact it was Marty Fox that was the car that I spun in lap 2. So I wasn't planning on it. I figured I'd be extra nice to him and just give him the easiest pass I could. I still not gonna slow down a ridiculous amount just to make it happen, so I'll let him approach me a bit more. But here heading to the Schumacher SS seems like a good spot. And then I speed back up, but actually I head to the Schumacher SS with somewhat low speed, and it makes that the next one up, VM, is already right behind me coming out of the Schumacher SS, or actually even midway through. So I just stay on the left side and give them the easy line on the proper racing line through this next left-hander, and then the this corner they're already past, so I'm not influencing anything anymore. And this brings me to the final stages of the race. We're now well below 10 minutes to go, and I'm now looking behind, so the top 10 has lapped me, but the next car up, K. Peters, I know that they are not that fast. I saw their lap times early on, and actually we were a bit similar. So I lost a lot of time with my spins and damage and so on, allowing them to come close to lapping me. But this is the first car where I feel like, okay, I actually don't want to be lapped by P11. You know, the top 10, alright, P11 I guess is where I felt like drawing the line. So they're coming up behind me now, but I'm not gonna just step aside. So the rules for blue flags, if you don't know, in GT3 cars is just drive predictably. So stick to your line. You can just drive the racing line. They are the faster car. It's on them to overtake. When they do go for the overtake, don't fight them. So don't try to outbrake them or anything if they're already alongside. But other than that, it's up to them. And I'm not sure what happened now behind me, but they came close and then they backed off quite far. I didn't try to block at all. I was just driving the racing line, so no problem with that. I do imagine it's a little annoying to them, but honestly, I've been so bored that I didn't really care. I did get the message now that the leader was on the final lap, and going into this lap, my fuel load was already below 4 liters, and this put me in a tough spot now, because the leader, if they complete this final lap for them behind me, that means that I will start another lap, and my fuel load can't do, or I can't do two laps with a fuel load below 4. So that means that my Sibella, the P1, they need to pass me, otherwise I'll just end up without fuel on my final lap. So if they do pass me, then this is my final lap as well, and there's no issue anymore. So I'm thinking that, crap, okay, I'm gonna have to let them pass, both of them, because my Sibella is behind Petes. But then the same thing happens, Petes approaches and, I don't know, I guess loses it because he's too close behind. And actually my Sibella ends up overtaking him. And I'm not aware until right about this point. I see my Sibella coming up super fast, so I move to the side, and they pass me by. Unfortunately, it took a bit of time, and now I'm quite slow on this straight. And behind me we see Petes flashing their lights, but they get an easy overtaking to the chicane. I'm not gonna fight it, but I did enjoy that my headlights were flickering at them as well, because, yeah. I get that they're flashing their lights, there's not much wrong with that since I'm under blue flags, but it's on them to actually do the overtake, so it's also not my fault that they had several moments where they fell behind again. And that's the end of, honestly, pretty miserable endurance race with a lot of boredom. Yeah. Of course, that's all on me and there's no point in sulking, so I do the donuts that I've been prepping for. And yeah, I'm hoping to do better in the next endurance events. Good news, the overlays I tested still after driving this race, and they're now working much better again, so future videos will have them in better state. Thank you for watching, and bye.